Hi, this is Anna Imagination. I'm doing a special series today called Crisis Mode Emergency Relief the Healing Garden Way. And this is a 4 to 6 episode playlist where I basically walk you through. You're in a crisis. We're going to get you aware. We're going to raise that conscious awareness right away. We're going to bring in your identity. We're going to close down that Jerry, and we're going to awaken your defense system. This is all revolving around you feeling like you have no control. That is crisis mode. It is when Jerry is the most illogical, he's panicking, he's hysterical, your identity has been completely thrown out. Your subconscious mind is just down there at work. We're on the cognitive core, letting Jerry run the show. And you, conscious awareness, is in the back corner rocking with your thumb in your mouth. So the first thing we're going to want to do, as I explained in the other two videos, is get your conscious awareness up. Get it up, get it active. Make it aware that it has the ability to control the situation. And this is how you need to control the situation. We're going to turn down the Jerry. That was episode 1. We're going to soothe the Jerry. The third one was by bringing up your the second video was by bringing up conscious awareness, by making you realize what's going on with your situation and helping you take control of the situation. And at the same time, we want to empower and nurture the identity. That's going to be the next video, is nurturing the identity and stabilizing her, because she is the grounding rod of your life. Okay, that's why the identity is so important. So for this particular video, I want to talk about coping styles. Coping styles is basically linked to your self-care regimen program. Your self-care is primarily, and this is what people don't know, your self-care is your Jerry soothing system. Okay. It has 2 parts to it. Your self-care does. It has basically, it's comforting you. It is soothing your fear system so that it stays turned down. And it is also your defense system. It's nurturing your defense system. Okay. When you are working on your self-care regimen, you are basically utilizing comfort, soothing your fear system to keep it down, and activating your defense system. Those are your 3 goals. Now, when people hear self-care, there's a lot of marketing that's happening out there that's trending right now. And this is the problem. So people have this concept that self-care is going to a spa, or it's doing yoga, or it's spending money. And there's a lot of people out there who now associate expense with self-care. Psychologically speaking, this is a problem, because if you don't have the money for a self-care regimen, your immediate brain says, oh, that's not for me. I can't afford that. And that's not true. My self-care regimen consists of washing dishes, taking a bath or a shower, going for a walk, meditating, journaling, watching TV, having tea, baking or cooking. They are things that nurture and establish my identity. They are the things that remind me who I am and what I love. And that is what a self-care regimen is. It is reminding yourself who I am and what I love. Now, I'm going to take a minute here and break off into the wonderful world of energy healing. I am huge with Reiki and chakras. And when you get into Hinduism and Buddhism, there are chakra points throughout your body. The bottom grounding chakra, Madhura, I believe is how it's pronounced, Madhura, is the grounding. Now, when we meditate, there are positions. Everyone's familiar with this one, where we sit in a squatting position, lotus flower, and I think it's this. Is it this? I can't remember. It's this. And we sit there and we meditate and we focus. Now, there are mantras for each one of these chakra levels. For the grounding chakra, it is called I am. And that's what we're going to talk about. I am. I am, when you meditate and you open up that grounding chakra, you are focusing on who you are and what you are. Now we're going to step back over into psychology. In psychology, your identity is your grounding rod. It is the core of who you are. Hinduism figured this out 4,000, 6,000 years ago, and they turned it into their mantra. So they go, I am. And it grounds you. It is your identity. See how that works? So same thing with Buddhism, where it very much is that pause, step back, remind yourself who you are. This is so Lion King, by the way. Like when I watch Lion King and I see Rafiki sitting there in that position and he goes, correction, I know who your father is. And I'm looking at you going, dude, you are so Hindu right now. Like you are aligned with the grounding chakra. It's amazing. And then the whole next speech that follows is all about your identity, Simba, who you are. Remember, oh, good God, take this and run with it. This is absolutely the answer. Your identity is taken away from you, and you have to bring it back. And the only way you can bring back who you are is by reminding yourself what you are and who you are. I am. So who are you? Now, if you've been abused and the way our society conditions identity out of us, you're not going to know who you are. So we need to recover the identity. To do this, you use a self-care regimen, a self-care package. Things that accumulate all of the you-ness that is you. Your self-care regimen is your identity recovery package. Your identity recovery. That is what your self-care is. So when people sit there and go, oh, you need to totally do self-care, you need to remember who you are. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm not going to use pretty little self-care. I really just need to throw that out because the misnomer is so ground into us that we're missing the point. So it needs to be renamed. So it's redefined. So from now on, it's going to be called your identity recovery program. Identity recovery. And it is going to be grounded in the words, I am. Now, we're going to talk about love. Love was fun. Love is not an emotion. Should I give you 5 minutes while you argue with me? Should I give you 5 minutes while you, like the trolls, like completely bombard this post? Love is not an emotion. And I'll tell you why. Because emotions are temporary. Always. Emotions are temporary. Emotions come in, you experience them while your cognitive core is processing, and then they go away. Love doesn't do that. Love doesn't do that at all. Real love does not do that. Real love does not come from the cognitive core. If love is coming from the cognitive core, you are not in love, you are afraid. And you are associating acceptance for love, and you are accepting or believing that the feeling and the rush of acceptance and visibility means safety and you are in control. And that's what you're confusing as love. Otherwise, love is not an emotion because it's not temporary. So, what is love? Love is your identity. I want you to think really hard about what you love. I love coffee. I have loved coffee since I was 16 years old. Love does not change. I don't wake up one day going, God, I feel like I don't love coffee today. And then the next day, I love coffee. Oh, I'm having a really bad mood right now. I just don't love coffee, and it's gone. Love is not an emotion. Love is a state of being. I love my cat. I love cats. I have always loved cats. I will always love cats. I can't not love cats. I go a little stupid when I see cats. I mean, I had a friend. I love her to pieces. My God, do I love you, Ani. I love Ani. I will always love Ani. Ani had a rule. Anna was not allowed to look at cats while I was talking on the phone with Ani. Because the minute I saw a cat, I went stupid. Because I love cats. and I love Ani. And that's never going to change because love is not an emotion, and emotions change. Love is who you are. Love is who you are. You love because it's who you are. Now, don't get it confused with, I feel acceptance and I feel belonging and I feel like I can finally have something that I want. So this person makes me feel like I've been accepted. And this person makes me feel I have a little bit of control in my life. So I feel safe. I love him. Don't confuse that with this, because that is mental illness. And once you clean up the mental illness, there's a good chance that's going to go away. And that's where a lot of people mess this up, is they think that I need to come up with a name for that. I really do, because that's something different. That is not love. That is not love at all. I have a big heart. I really love people. I really, really love adventure so much. I love meeting new people. But I lived with narcissists for 40 years. So I didn't actually get to feel what love felt like until a year ago. Even though I have a big heart and I'm very warm and I'm very excited and I love adventure and I'm just sunlight personified itself sometimes, I could not feel love because I grew up with narcissists. The first time I felt love, the first time I saw it, it was confusing. The first time I really saw actual love, I went, what is this thing? I was terrified of it. I had no idea what it is. And it confused me because there was nothing in my cognitive core telling me the thing that you are experiencing right now is actual love. It's true love. And you've never seen it before. So this is going to be weird for you. Sit tight. Wait, there's more. 2 years of that. It took 2 years of it being exposed to real love. And now I'm sitting here going, what is that? Now I start to feel it for myself for this person. And it's a completely different emotion, a completely different experience. One where I went, whoa, this is completely dependent of fear and completely dependent of, this is just weird. And it really is weird. And I'd never in my life felt it until very recently. So now I'm sitting here going, wow, the way I feel for my partner is how I feel about cats and mermaids and mermaids. I love him like I love mermaids and a cup of coffee. I love him like I love mermaids. I love him like I love cats. And it doesn't change. So when I ask you every morning, what do you love? It's trying to connect you with your identity, because your identity is built off of all the things you love. I am. Now, your self-care regimen needs to be filled with all the things that you love. Fun and joy is a celebration of you and the things you love. Fun and joy, having fun and enjoying something, is you connecting with yourself and your self-love. It is a celebration of the self, which is why trauma survivors don't have fun, which is why trauma survivors really struggle connecting with their identity. They don't enjoy things. They don't have fun. They don't laugh because they've been too traumatized and they've been removed from their identity. Trauma literally divorces your identity from yourself. So here's yourself, your conscious awareness without an identity. That's why fear is awake. That's why you're in crisis mode. Reestablish the identity. Bring the identity back. Find the identity through the things you love. Now, if you were anything like me, you had no idea where to begin. You could not make any choices. I was alone. I had no idea what I liked, what I wanted, Where I was going, I had nothing. I was a blank slate just going, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Well, guess what? You're going on some adventures because now you have to lay out a smorgasbord. The world is a smorgasbord for you now. And you're going to have to try each and every little thing. And you're going to have to literally go big and go small. And you're going to go all over. I had to do this with ice cream. I had to do this with cooking. I had to do this with cuisine. I had to do this with places. I had to do this with lifestyles and with peoples. I had to try on all the clothes. I had to wear all the hats. I'm still doing this. It was so funny because I'm doing salsa. I'm learning salsa. My partner introduced me to salsa. Now, I've been dancing ballet since I was 15 years old. Yeah, since I was 14, 15, I've been dancing ballet. And I walked away from ballet because it really caused bodily injury to myself. And then my partner introduced me to salsa. Now, at first, I felt guilt about, oh, I like salsa only because he does. Now I feel like a fraud and a fake and a phony because I'm just mimicking. I dealt with those feelings. I am still dealing with those feelings that I feel like a fake and a phony. I really need to talk to him about this because he likes salsa dancing. So now I love salsa dancing. And now I just feel like I'm mimicking him and I feel like a fake and a phony. But he's been on walkabout and I'm going to salsa lessons like 3 times a week because I really love salsa dancing. I cannot dance without smiling. I can't. Every time I get into the groove, I'm in the middle of a dance, I'm smiling. In fact, if I'm not smiling, I'm not having a good time. That's a really good clue to my partner that if I'm not smiling, I'm not having a good time. So the other week, I went to this one place. I misread the schedule. I misunderstood it. And it turned out to be Afro dance, which is from Brazil. I don't like it. I did not enjoy it. It is not for me. But I went, I took up my phone and I texted my partner and said, so I don't like Afro dancing. It is not for me. And he went, you went to an Afro dancing class? Well, it was a mistake. I thought it was going to be salsa tonight. I did salsa or I didn't do salsa. I did Afro dance and I decided I don't like it. And I'm sitting here going, oh my God, it's Wednesday. I have salsa tonight. I just saw that it's Wednesday. So yeah, I love salsa. See that? I love salsa. And yeah, it's trying new things. And you're going to feel overwhelmed at first. You are, because there's so much. I remember the first time it was my phone. It was my phone. Because I was a slave, I was not allowed to make a single choice, a single decision on my own. My phone died a week after my divorce. A week. I was 1 week into my freedom and I had no phone. There was no man for the first time in my life to tell me what to do. I had to figure it out. And I went, well, my phone is dead. Now what do I do? Well, I would just tell my husband, that's not an option anymore. What do I do? I guess I would go to a phone store. Yes, it was this bad. I guess I'm going to a phone store. So I went into the phone store and I said, my phone is dead. It doesn't work anymore. And they're like, okay, what phone do you want? I was looking for my husband and I was going to ask him, what phone do I want? And he wasn't there. And I went, oh. And I thought, well, if I get to choose, well, he's not here, so I don't have to answer to I don't have to worry about his choice, his opinion, or his decision. Well, he's not here, so I don't have to explain myself. I can choose whatever I want, and there's not going to be a consequence. What do I want? And I looked at the phone store, and I saw every phone available, and I just went, I don't know. I definitely want an iPhone. And that was a lot easier because they said, well, let's walk over there and look. So he took me over and I had 4 phones. That was a lot easier than 4,000. I felt like I had 4,000 choices. I had 4. And I went, I want the biggest one you got. Now, the reason why is because I don't like carrying around iPads. And if I had a small phone, I would also feel like I have to carry an iPad. Why am I explaining this to you like I have to justify my decision? See that? That's more mental work I need to do. So I'm sitting here with my big ass phone going, you know what? I can read on this. So I don't need an iPad. So I want the biggest one. But more importantly, I have a serious addiction to photography. And I wanted the phone. I'm like, give me the best camera you've got. Give me the best. I want the best across the board. So I did. I got the biggest, the best, and the brightest. And it was the very first decision I ever made. On me, for me, with me. And it was empowering. It was the conscious awareness taking control. But then something else happened. This became my identity because I chose it for me. 100%. This was my very first choice. This was my choice. It was the very first choice I ever made. It really was the first choice I ever made for myself. Aside from, fuck you, I'm going to New York City. So those are the little things. And I became addicted to that. I went, wow, psychologically speaking, that was phenomenal. That was such a great lesson in self-identity and empowerment. Let's do it again. And I did it again. And I did it again. I literally refurnished my entire home. I chose what bed I wanted. I chose what mattress I wanted. I chose what sheets I wanted. I spent $40,000 in 3 months. No, I don't regret that choice. No, it was the best decision I ever made. I systematically went through. My husband kept everything. And at the time, I had also lost 60 pounds. So my wardrobe was null and void. And when I started going to New York City, you don't walk around handing people your real name. So I changed my name to Anna at that time. And so my name was new. My wardrobe was new. My body was new because I had lost 60 pounds. And my life was new. My home was new. My possessions were new. Everything was new. I went through culture shock real bad. But I had my identity finally. And my identity was solid and I was grounding it. And I used items and objects and possessions to solidify my identity. And I used politics and ethics and beliefs, this came later, to solidify my identity. And I used events and hobbies to solidify my identity. Now, I am trying to find people who will solidify my identity. And this is where it's getting hard because people are unpredictable. I can buy my gorgeous little mermaid at Heart Cup, and my mermaid at Sea Cup at Heart Cup is going to obey. It's going to be obedient. It's not going to complicate my life. It's going to give me a blast of enjoyment every time I look at my mermaid and go, I'm a mermaid. And I'm going to feel really good about my mermaid cup because it reinforces my mermaid identity. I have a mermaid identity. But this is the power of possession, of having things, of knowing who you are. Everything in our lives, every little thing, is a choice that solidifies who we are. Now, if you fill your life with abusers, what's that doing to your identity? If you are filling your life with turmoil and with choices that don't actually represent what you want at all, it represents your fear. Let's get back into crisis mode. Now, you are embodying, you are becoming the persona of fear itself. That's really what's going on. That is it. You are becoming the personification of fear itself. And when you start to honor yourself and your identity, and you bring your identity back, you stop personifying fear and you start personifying your identity and who you are. You can't have both. You can either follow fear or you can follow your identity. Your conscious awareness, being mindful of this option, gives you the control and the power to change it through awareness. So now the conscious mind can step forward and say, hey, you're personifying fear. I don't want an identity defined on fear. I don't want a life built around fear. I don't want a job based off of fear. I don't want a partner or a spouse based on fear, because fear is not freedom. My identity is freedom. So I'm going to get my identity back. I am. I am. I am what I love. I am what I believe. I believe, not what other people tell me I should believe. I am my ethics. 7 Habits for Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. He breaks down how to define your ethics in that book. You can also do this by studying philosophy, but that's involved. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. It establishes your identity and how to build your identity off of your ethics, which you should be doing, which you need. Ethics, your loves, and your beliefs. Those are the 3 parts that make up your identity. Who you are, what you love, what your ethics are, and what your beliefs are. That's it. Now, beliefs are tricky. Beliefs come in later because you're going to have a lot of beliefs that are not yours, but your ethics are yours. Maybe. Read 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. But you love what you love. Some people have been abused so greatly that what they love is just a mirror of what their abusers love. Some people have been abused so greatly that what they believe is ethical is actually somebody else's ethics. If you don't have a political position because you are mirroring someone else's political position to stay safe, how many times a day to stay safe? If you have to use those phrases, you're not free. To stay safe. Oh, I'm a Republican. To stay safe. Been there, done that. I was a Democrat too. To stay safe. Yeah, I believe that money is the root of all evil. To stay safe, I believed that. I believe nothing. I will do whatever it is my husband will require of me to stay safe. See how that works? So while I'm making decisions based off of what Jerry wants, I am not making decisions based off of what identity wants. My identity was taken away from me when I was 4 years old. And then my identity was mangled, torn into pieces, split, divided, and suppressed for 40 years. You have a similar story. You cannot live in this society with your identity intact. No one can. The society doesn't allow it. Not possible. We're not free. The delusion is to help us think that we are. But once you step outside of that society, once you're on the outside of the system, you can look in and go, oh, holy fucking shit. Look at all the slaves. That's my belief, but that's been my experience. That's exactly my perspective, because that's what I lived through. And once I was able to get out, once I realized how hard it was to get out, the reason why it's so hard to get out is because you're not free. And they don't want you to know that. If it's free, it's easy. If you were free, it would be easy to change. It is hard because you are enslaved. Food for some thought. So yeah, get your identity back. I am. I am love. I am mermaids. I am the ocean. I am the forest. I am fuzzy cats. I am knitting. I am One Piece. I am captain of my beautiful ship. I am the healing garden. I am. I am. And we have to decide every time we pick something up and put it into our system if it's going to become a part of us or not. That's us building the identity. This whole thing was supposed to be on coping styles. But your coping style is your identity. It's what you do to enforce your identity. It's what you do to embody your identity. Your coping style is the embodiment of you. That's what your coping style is. Your coping style is the embodiment of you. When we are abused, our life becomes about the abuser, what the abuser wants, what the abuser desires. And you can't have two masters. You cannot honor an abuser and your identity and yourself. You have to choose. So abuse is when you are forced to abandon the identity to embody an abuser. And we keep choosing abusers over our identity because our abusers are our parents, because our abusers are our loved ones. It's easy if it's a stranger. Believe me, I know. I've been abused by strangers. I've been abused by parents. I have been abused by everybody. And there was different levels of fuck-uppery depending upon how much I loved the person or trusted them. Some guy I met on the internet, like literally, there was nothing. The guy who became like a father to me, who I completely entrusted my safety to, oh, that was messed up. My brother. I loved him and he did that to me. I loved him and he did that to me. My father, my grandparents, my aunts and my uncles, who all chose to turn a blind eye to my abuse. Now that hurt. But the dude I met on the internet, I don't even remember his name. Sometimes our abusers, in most cases, the people we love the most abuse us the most. Our spouses, our partners, our family, our parents, our siblings. The people we love the most hurt us the most. Those are the real abusers. Those are the ones that really fuck us up. Because if we didn't love them, it wouldn't fuck us up. That's the truth about abuse. It's because we loved them that it fucks us up so much. The people who set me up in May, I trusted them. They were my family. They were my chosen family. I trusted them. I loved them. And they did that to me. So it hurt. The guy who raped me before them, he's the one I don't remember their name. I made a bad choice. I ignored my instinct. And he was a piece of shit. But I don't even remember his name. It's because we love them and we trust them that the abuse hurts so much. And we're put in a position where we have to choose our abusers over ourselves. So when you heal, it's the process of finally telling the abuser to fuck off. I'm going to love myself now. That's really what you're up against. Recover that identity. Do that by reminding yourself what you have, what you're grateful for, and what you love. What do you love? Love truly is the core here. And every time we get rattled, every time we have a crisis, it's our abuser pulling us away from the self. That is what a crisis is. It's when all this noise and all these abusers are pulling you toward what they want, but your identity is going, no, I want. You are literally in the battle of you versus your abuser. That is crisis mode. It's you versus your abuser. And your entire system is being hijacked by an abuser to go do what the abuser wants. You have to go get that job. You can't go get that job. You have to stay where you are. You don't want to stay where you are. You have to go to a job that you freaking hate. You can't go to the job that you freaking hate. And any choice you make is going to level in whether or not the abuser is going to punish you or not, whether or not you're going to have consequences. But if you strip all of that away and you establish yourself with your identity and you sit yourself down and you say, I am, goddamn your abusive situation. Go to hell. Do whatever. Take whatever you want. I am. Now you've ended crisis mode. When you stand up and you solidify yourself in your identity and you look at your abuser and you say, fuck you. I am. Now you've stopped crisis mode. But you got to confront the fear. The fear of what you're going to lose. Because what you're going to gain is freedom. Freedom is what you're gaining. Freedom of fear. Freedom of abuse. That's really what you're losing. Freedom of fear. That's what you're gaining. Freedom of abuse. Because you can't be abused when you're this solid. You can't be. Nope. Abusers can come along and they'll try and pull you. But if you are solid, you go, fuck you. I am me. Fuck you. In fact, I did that a couple weeks ago. I literally wrote texts out to everybody and said, I don't want any more opinions or advice. Thank you. I'm going to take some time for myself. And I literally just shut the world away. And I isolated myself in my silence while I figured out what I needed for me. And I told everyone else to fuck off. No one else is allowed to give me romance advice. No one is allowed to give me any kind of relationship advice. No one. Therapists are not qualified to give me advices, let alone a lot of really wonderful but broken people who have no clue. My partner tried to give me financial advice. And I said, excuse you, I love you, but you're poor. And everybody who's giving me financial advice are also poor. I have a millionaire right now who's literally giving me lessons. I love you, but you can teach me how to be poor. That's about all you can do because you are poor. This person is rich and they have figured it out. And she's not the only one. I have 3 different millionaires right now who is mentoring me. And I'm taking lessons from them. But I had to tell someone who I love, like I love mermaids, to fuck off. Because I have a goal. Because of my identity. Because I'm solid. You need to be too. Everyone needs to be solid in who they are. Because if you're not solid to yourself, an abuser can come along and just pull you any way they want. And they have, and they do. And that's why you're having a crisis. Reestablish your identity because your identity is the core of who you are. Now, your identity is scared and broken. Your identity is pulled apart and weak. And that's where conscious awareness steps in, you, and says, all right, let's get this thing balanced and put back together again. Fear, shut up, sit down. Identity, step in. Let's get you home. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Crisis Mode and Emergency Recovery. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next episode.